Hello, I'm Dr. Paul, and this is my beautiful wife, Lynn. And today we are going to be discussing a report that we just got yesterday.
Okay, I want to share this information with you, and I'll put the link to the source of this report that was done yesterday by Dr. William Mount it was the 7th of September. I guess that's the day before yesterday, isn't it? Time flies when we're having fun. So what he's saying is there's a new news story coming out that leprosy is now in Los Angeles, and apparently it's also in New York. And what does the Journal of American Medical Association say? It comes from the illegals crossing the border. Leprosy, which when combined with incurable tuberculosis, the leprosy is hidden. So the illegal aliens who come to the U.S. from countries who have emptied out their mental institutions or their incurable disease centers, hospitals and so forth, and sent them to America from around the world. How are these people coming in droves by the millions with incurable tuberculosis and leprosy? They try to treat the tuberculosis, which actually ends up suppressing the leprosy. So the Journal of the American Medical Association states, well, maybe that's a good thing. And the County of Los Angeles, to counter this, rather than taking a proactive stance with their 500,000 homeless people, and rather than testing people from leprosy, they're just putting out newspaper articles that say, don't be afraid of leprosy. Paul, what exactly is leprosy?
Leprosy is a leptospirosis. It's a bacterial infection.
Okay.
It's very resistant to antibiotics.
Okay. So, the issue that's brought up in this article was that in the process of having this many homeless in LA, there have been billions of dollars that have been poured in to provide permanent housing, and none has been provided. And it appears maybe that's just going down a black hole. Now, there's also Ebola. And in New York City, where they also say they are having issues with Ebola, they're now finding that they're having issues with leprosy. And we've got some other diseases going on around. For many years, there's been intermittent recurrences of bubonic plague in the Four Corners area of the country, which is New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado, where those states meet together. And what about bubonic plague, Paul? What is that disease mechanism?
Bubonic plague is carried by fleas and lots of small rodents carry fleas, such as chipmunks, squirrels, I guess even rabbits, things like that, and mice, rats. So bubonic plague I believe it's a virus infection.
Okay.
I don't remember for sure whether it's a virus or a bacteria.
Okay.
But it is.
It wasn't something you were treating animals for ever.
No, I never saw a case of bubonic plague.
All right. And now, how is leprosy transmitted? By a sneeze. And that sneeze can emit particles as far as 1,500 feet away. So you might just casually walk by something and never know that you'd encountered it. They're also saying that, as I mentioned before, that the tuberculosis may be what you exhibit first, and some of the forms of tuberculosis are incurable. So there's also hoof and mouth disease breaking out, and a lot of these things are things we haven't had in this country for well over 100 years.
Right.
Okay. There's also Lyme disease, and we've covered that in some of our other videos. That's carried by ticks, but it's also being carried by other biting insects at this point. So there seems to be a lot of designer diseases out there, and it's making me think back to a time when we lived in a small county out in the West. There were only 7,000 people in this county and no traffic lights.
Right.
But it was probably, 2 hours away from the university that had a research lab on animals?
Yeah, at least 2 hours.
Okay, and you remember seeing the research like in Scrapie on sheep, right?
Right.
Well, interestingly enough, a couple of hours away from this university, whirling disease is discovered in a river, and that's a disease of fish.
Right. It's a disease of trout that causes them to lose their equilibrium, and they just go around in circles and finally die.
Okay, and what was that caused by?
Caused by a prion, which is a malformed protein. It's infectious and contagious.
Okay, and when we lived in that county, I was talking to a rancher one day, and he talked about an experiment that university was doing where they brought he said they were very sickly looking deer, and they would put them in a contained round corral and hold them in an area for a while, and then they would move them to another area. And he said, all I can tell you about these is if they had come on my ranch looking the way they did, I would have shot them and burned them, because I didn't want anything like that spreading to the animals on my land. And the disease that came out shortly after this discussion with the rancher that I was having on the whirling disease was, they also discovered the wasting disease that was in mostly elk or deer.
Deer and elk.
Deer and elk.
Yeah.
So, and is wasting disease also a prion?
Yes.
Okay. So there seems to be some things that are just popping up in our country here and there from kind of unknown sources, I guess you'd say.
Well, other than the illegals coming into the country bringing a lot of this stuff, some of these others, we don't know where they're coming from, but they seem to be arriving.
Okay, and when we're talking whirling disease, is that similar to mad cow disease?
Yes, that's a prion also.
Okay, and then some of the other prion diseases, there are, and by the way, if you go on the internet and just put in leprosy and do a search on it, you're going to find a lot of websites that are talking about it. There's a whole page of links that I've got there from that one, that I started looking up after I saw that article, and there's some more on that page. So there's quite a bit of information out there now with something that just seems to have popped up in the last couple of years. And the reason we're bringing all of this up is if you were going to treat something that was based on a prion type of disease, and the possibility that antibiotics may not work on it, what would you be using from our plasma energy, our pantry?
What you're trying to do is, and by the way, antibiotics do not work on prions. What you would do is try to establish balance so that the body is strong and healthy and working right, and it will not tolerate incorrect formation of proteins, and it will either correct them or eliminate them to bring about balance. You can do that with plasma energy, with the plasma energy station, especially with the CO2 and combinations of the other ganses. The plasma energy station has 16 on it that gives you a pretty complete balance.
Well, in the plasma energy station, we have CuO2, which is very effective against infections, right?
Infections, bacterial and viral.
Okay, and then there's also some gold GANs, some silver GANs.
Right.
Water. There's over 500 things in there. Lots of herbs, minerals, supplements, vitamins, and then a vast array of what you've put together as you've shown people, that you're going to show people in how to make the GANs.
Right.
So we do have things that will assist the body in bringing about balance, like Paul has said. We have something specifically for Lyme relief that was made of many homeopathic essential oils, herbs, teas that specifically assisted someone in eliminating the symptoms of the Lyme disease. And many of these diseases are recurring. They don't necessarily just go away.
Yeah, they lie dormant, and then at times of stress, they surface and again show symptoms.
Okay, so you can find out more. This month, this is September of 2019. For this month only, we are having a special on the plasma energy station. And this is a good time to order because we're still sending from warm door to warm door. And we can send our 16 glass vials. This is already packaged for mailing. And in the wintertime, it's consolidated into 4 non-breakable plastic BPA-free vials. So that's what we do when we know things are going to freeze. We may be sending it to the southern United States where it doesn't freeze, but they're going to freeze from here to here to an hour away.
Right.
So, and one of the things we suggest if you're doing a lot of traveling is when you have the plasma energy station and you make yourself a spray bottle of the water, spray some on a mask and wear that when you're traveling through airports and on the airlines. You don't know exactly what you're going to encounter these days, so it's just a good way to exercise a little care for yourself. And this is what we send when you're overseas, and we're sending the plasma energy station. We are providing September of 2019 only a free thyroid vial along with the plasma energy station. So we want to thank you for listening today and watching our video, and our website is plasmaenergysolution.com. Anything else?
I think that's all for this. If you have enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends and relatives. We thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.